Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. I'm glad you've made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us talking, get us sharing, get us exploring, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made the connection. Our topic today is never run out of road. We kind of ran out of our intro a little bit, but we're going to come back and we're going to listen to a little more of Never Run Out of the Road. My co-host Rick Bernardo and I have been enjoying listening to the song all week. Welcome.
It's wonderful. Yeah, this is Rick. I'm still Rick. Yeah, we just love the music. We're going to hear more.
Yep, and it's with the Rickey Medlocke Band. You heard just a little bit, and I mean a little bit, created by Rickey Medlocke and co-produced with Mark Warple, who are both joining me today. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yep, morning. Yep.
So glad you're here. So, Rickey, you have roots in Cherokee and Lakota heritage, and you're one of the founding members of both Lynyrd Skynyrd and Blackfoot.
Well, yeah, I've got a bloodline that runs in Lakota and Cherokee Creek, and a little bit of English and Scottish thrown in there for good measures. I guess I get all the bad sides, right? But realistically, actually, I was a founding member of Blackfoot, but I was just an early band member of Lynyrd Skynyrd, dating back all the way to the early 70s when I first joined them as a drummer and played with them for about 2.5, almost 3 years. Then went back with Blackfoot and had the success with them. Then I rejoined Skynyrd in 1996 and have been there ever since.
And then you also created the Rickey Medlocke Band.
Well, how this happened along with Mark here, Mark and I had the latter versions of Blackfoot where I had different band members. And Mark was pretty well one of the steadfast members in the band. And so then, Mark and I have had an association for over 30 years. And this is kind of full circle for Mark and I because we used to do these radio shows when he was in Blackfoot, and we would go into radio stations and we would do early morning interviews or late afternoon interviews and sit and play acoustic guitars with, people. And so it's kind of come full circle with Mark and I and how this all came about. Sometimes I have a lot of time on my hands when Skynyrd is off the road, when we've done tours and then we take a break and we go along, and for months and months we're sitting. I can't do that. As my better half would tell you, he's got a lot of energy. He needs to be doing something. So I had this idea of, I talked to Mark, and, I said, I've got all this time on my hands, and I knew he had a band, and he was up here in the Minnesota area.
You're from Red Wing, right?
Yep, me and my wife are Ellsworth and Red Wing. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So I knew that he had a band called Them Pesky Kids.
I love that.
Which now they're not the pesky kids. I'm the pesky kid. So I got to doing this idea. He and I had talked about recording again anyway. And I had this idea. I called him up one day. I said, hey, what if I interject myself with your band? We work up Blackfoot tunes, maybe some Skynyrd stuff, maybe songs of artists that influenced me in my life. And we went out and tried to do some shows or whatever. Well, we knew we had to have a new song. I had this song laying around for a good half a dozen or more years.
It's one of your first, wasn't it, that you went back and looked at?
Well, yeah. Mark came down to Florida, down to Fort Myers, and we sat in my studio and we listened to different songs and everything, and this song was one of those songs. And it's also between Mark and I and another fellow, which people might be familiar with, a group called Blackberry Smoke. And the lead singer, lead guitar player from that, Charlie Starr, he's also a co-writer on it.
Okay. And they're doing sort of 70s style, but presently, right?
They're kind of presently, and they're kind of a Skynyrd type band.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're from the South, and they're one of those Southern bands that's trying to take up the flag for,
Carry
Southern
on the
band.
tradition.
Yeah. So anyway, we got a hold of the song. I came up here over a year ago, and we started putting this all together. And the next thing you know, Scott got a hold of him, or he got a hold of Scott. And the next thing
Rock the Cause gets a hold of and we've got Scotty on the line from Rock the Cause. You're infamous for that, Scott.
So we, Scott came on board, explained to me exactly, what he did with this label. And it was a great platform to be able to give back to certain areas that I wanted to bring awareness to and give back to. And the next thing you know, I find out we could give to favorable charities. And that set it off with me. I have a very, very good friend, have known him for years. And everybody would know him from Yellowstone, the TV series. His name is Gil Birmingham. And he plays the tribal chairman on there. And Gil's been in films for many years. And I got a hold of Gil and I told him, because they had a segment in the third season
Of Yellowstone.
Yes, where the wife of the youngest son of Dutton, his wife is Native, she plays a Native in the series, where she's abducted, but it was a setup. And she's abducted, she's taken out on the reservation, and the guy is going to have his way. And Gil Birmingham, his character, he's got a sidekick, Mo, and it was a setup where they take care of him. Mo takes care of this perpetrator. And as they go to looking on the reservation, they start finding all these mounds where other women had been, murdered or whatever and gotten away and buried. So Gil comes back to me and he said, let me talk to Taylor Sheridan, because I know that Taylor gave to a certain charitable society. He comes back to me a short time later and said, okay, Ricky, here's what Taylor said he did. He gave to the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center. Boom. That was it. That named the first one. And then the second one is the Dreamcatchers Charitable Fund, and I'm involved with them. They're of the 8 Nations up in Canada. And they are an organization founded by the Green River Enterprise up there. It's all Native. And they gave me, not too many years ago, a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Through the Indigenous Awards, right?
Yes. And so I give back to the Dreamcatchers Charitable Fund. And the picture that you see along with the song,
It's stunning.
Yeah, it's
that
awesome.
was taken by an incredible artist.
She
She-
captures your essence just
She's
amazing.
the most amazing photographer. She travels with Aerosmith. She travels with Guns N' Roses. Her name is Kat Benzanova. And she graciously said, you can use the photo if you'll donate to one of my charities. We do that, Save the Wolves. And so there you go.
And if you want to see that amazing picture, you can go to rickymedlock.com. And that's Ricky is spelled with an Rickey, and Medlock is MEDLOCKE.com.
Yep.
Fabulous picture.
Yeah.
And you learn more about the song that you've written.
Right.
And co-produced with Mark, that has, with every download, you'll be able to make a donation yourself. So as you listen to this fabulous song, you're also supporting the cause. And the song created by Ricky years ago, brought back and has sort of a life of its own.
Brought back to life.
In a good way. So why don't we hear just a little bit more? Are you set there, Patrick, to hear a little bit more? There we go.
I know the highway is the truth. With every mile there's a story, and never running out of road till the good Lord leads me home. Counting lines in all directions, old southern wind, like so many before me. I know the highway is the truth. With every mile there's a story, and never running out of road till the good Lord leads me home.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And today we're talking about Never Run Out of the Road. Wonderful song by the Ricky Medlock Band. And we've got Ricky Medlock and co-produced this song with Mark Warple, who's also part of the Ricky Medlock Band.
Yeah.
Longtime friends, as I understand, for over 40 years.
It's been 40 years, Ricky. Sorry to tell you, it's been 40 years.
Shut up. Shut up.
Last segment we said it was 30.
30.
I'm not that old.
And I was seeing Mark shake his head like, no,
Give
no,
or
no,
take.
no. We're talking 40.
Give or take 30 years.
we also have Scotty Harold, who is the CEO and founder of Rock the Cause. The song that you were listening to, which is so beautiful and so 70s cool and 2024 hip.
Yeah.
Never Run Out of Road is a song that's also being dedicated to having portions of the proceeds go to a Native American group that serves to work with women who have been sexually molested, have been hurt. It's the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center. And the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center provides national leadership to end violence against American Indian, Alaska Native, and Native Hawaiian women. And they lift up collective voices using grassroots advocates and offering culturally grounded resources, technical assistance and training, and policy development. And one other thing that I just wanted to mention that a lot of people don't know is that American Indian women are the most battered, raped, stalked, and murdered group
Yes.
of women in the United States.
Yes, they are.
70% of the time by non-Native offenders. And according to the report, American Indian women are raped at a rate more than 3 times that rapes reported by all races on an annual basis. So for all races, it's 2 per 1,000. For American Indian, 7 per 1,000.
Isn't that sad?
It is horrific.
And this is Rick, and it's been that way for decades. It's been
Oh,
in a
yes.
situation where everybody's not doing what they need to do to stop that. It's just it's another aspect of racism and sexism.
Well, I have a very good friend of mine, Elaine Hackett. She's Blackfoot. And another friend of mine, Gene Braverock, who's an actor, very good friend. They both come from the reservation in Montana. And Montana is the leading one for disappearance, for, murder committed, all these crimes. And Elaine gave me some stunning statistics because she had a relative that worked inside authorities. And it was just like, I was, when I first started investigating it, and on a side note there, I want you to know that I got with some people, first of all, I did a series that we were trying to get a steady series going. I did a show called Homeland Nation, in which I was the host and narrator and stuff. And when that didn't go anywhere, then somebody got a hold of me from the William Shatner production company. And we were going to do a TV show every week. It was going to be a series to where we would go to these different reservations and we would talk about the problems. We get into the problems that not one network would pick it up.
What a heart.
No, they didn't want to hear about it.
There's little parts on YouTube you can go find. You can see it on there too.
Yeah, you can see Homeland Nation on YouTube, the introduction of it.
Yep.
And I have since been in touch with a fine gentleman named Peter Blackwell, and we have been talking about trying to pick it up again to where we can, place it and get the funding for it and place it and, get it rolling again. Because for me personally, one of the biggest things that I did this for, not only to get new music out and play again and, whatever, it was to make and bring awareness to a very epidemic.
Yeah.
Okay, it's an epidemic.
It is.
I have a great friend that I met here, 2 years ago. She's the Secretary of Interior, Deb Haaland. I met her. We've talked about it. She's going to try at some point to get me in front of the Congress
Would that be perfect?
to talk about this
Yeah.
because, honestly, I don't think the Congress would want to hear me.
They should,
I
though.
think my mouth is big enough to take up the whole room when it comes to this subject. And when I get to talking, I don't stop, as you can tell. And, I'm an independent thinking person. I don't like nobody to sway me one way or the other. I'm stubborn as an Indian like that, and which leads me to the fact that there needs to be, that awareness brought so that people know and understand what's going on. And it's not only, think about it, if it happens to natives in that kind of way big, think about your own family. Think about what could happen to your own children.
Have heart and empathy.
Yes. So it's a big thing for me and Mark.
And part of that is also your own heritage being, and
Oh,
for
yeah.
those just joining,
Of course.
Ricky is both Cherokee and Lakota in your heritage.
Cherokee Creek on my mother's side, my father's side, Lakota. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing and wonderful that you are lending your voice, your song, and your spirit
Right.
to be supporting this amazing cause. The Never Run Out of Road, when I first heard it, I thought of Red Road,
Yeah.
and getting on the Red Road as sort of your path, your purpose, your destiny, which is beautiful to tie with this important cause. But you have some other affiliation, affection for the road you were sharing with me.
Well, if some people know the history of my grandfather, Shorty Medlock, he was a professional musician, in and out of Nashville, played with his own band. But when he would be home in Jacksonville, he'd have his own bands, and him and my ma would take me at a very early age on the road with them. They would make me a bed in a dresser drawer, put me in there. There's a great story about my dad got up one night to go to the bathroom, and he shut the drawer, and I'm in. And he came back to bed to lay down, and my mom, Juanita, she goes, "Did you just shut the drawer?" He goes, "Yeah." She goes, "Ricky's in there." So shut the drawer. Who cares about the kid, But I've spent my whole life on the road. I have. And there might be some people out there that understands this, but to me, it's nomadic. Lakotas were nomadic. But for me, it's the ultimate freedom of being able to get in a vehicle, whether it be a tour bus, whether it be in my personal car, van, truck, whatever. It's one of those things that's very therapeutic for me. I can get on the road and I can drive for thousands of miles. I was just telling you that Skinner did a charity thing in Jackson Hole, and Gary Rossington, bless his heart, he passed away almost a year ago now, coming up. But him and his wife was involved in an organization in Jackson Hole. Well, they had a charitable drive one year, and we played at it. So the rest of the band flew to Jackson, not me. I got in my travel van and I drove to Jackson Hole
I love
and
it.
loved every mile of it. So every mile there's a story.
That's right.
There you go.
And Leonard Skinner is a story in and of itself as
Oh
well.
my gosh, yes, yes.
Starting in the early 70s, you were
Yes.
part of Leonard Skinner. Then you went to
Blackfoot.
Blackfoot.
Yeah, and now
Came
back.
back to Leonard Skinner.
I've been back with Skinner since '96 for 28 years. And collectively with them, I was with them 2.5 years in the early 70s, so collectively over 30 years. And you know what? I feel very blessed and fortunate that I've done what I've done in my life. And I worked really hard. I kept my focus. And for young musicians out there, if you're listening to this, you know, I get questions, how did you do it? And I said, the best thing to tell you is you got to write a great song. It's a song that's undeniable, that when listeners hear it, they remember it. We call them earworms. They get in your head and they work alive, you know, in your head, you know, and there you go. But for young musicians, it's hard today because back in my day, every song that could be written hadn't been written yet. Now, every song that has been written can't be written anymore because people borrow from
Sure.
everything. You know what I mean? So for me, music has been my lifelong, you know, relative, friend, buddy. It saved my life because I have a very interesting condition that not a lot of people know about, but some people do, and I have pulmonary fibrosis. I got one lung, and people watch me stand up there and sing, and they're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
How do you do this? Got to realize I wasn't supposed to see 14 years of age, and here I just turned 74. So
There's a reason you're here.
I believe that. Yes, I believe that. But you know, with the thanks to Mark Warple, he's my one of my best friends, and writing partners and recording playing partners. I'm going to let Mark talk for a while.
Actually, what I'll do is we'll come back for the next segment, and we're going to talk more with Mark.
Put a
but
piece of tape over my
I won't do that. But I will let the audience know, if you want to be supporting this wonderful cause as well as listening to this amazing music, as my friend Scotty said, donate or download. So
Yeah.
the download, you can go to rickymadlock.com, and that's spelled RICKEYMEDLOCKE.com. To donate, if you'd like to also support this wonderful cause that Ricky has chosen to have the song go to, it's NIWRC.org. You can say what that stands for. That stands for
the
Ricky.
National Indigenous Women's Resource Center.
And we will be right back. We're also going to talk about Ricky's band that's going to be right here in town.
I'm going to let him talk about
Okay, we'll let Mark talk about that. We'll be right back after just a
up.
few commercials. Stay with us.
Before me, I know the highway is the truth. This life of mine's another traveling too. I've got my reason for moving on, and I'll never run out of road. The truth will lead me on. I've got good reason for being gone, and I'll never run out of road till the good Lord leads me home.
Good morning. Welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter and songs that matter. And you just were listening to Never Run Out of Road, which is a fabulous song that Rick Bernardo, my co-host, and I have been thoroughly enjoying this last week.
I was
You
gonna say.
wanted to say a few things about road.
I always do. Anytime somebody mentions road or journeys or paths, I'm always steeped in reflections because my background is in theology, spirituality, ethics. I got degrees and a lot of teaching in that. And so many traditions around the world have these universal ideas of a path, doorways, a journey. And even in my own life, when I feel down or even up, I always try to remember that, as long as I'm pointed in the right direction, that's all I can do, and we're all on a journey. And I think if everybody just looks, no matter where they came from, and kind of reflects spiritually or deeply on that, we know we're just all on some kind of journey, and that's the best we can do, and it's great.
In your song, and with us today, if you've just joined, I should make
Yeah.
sure that everyone knows who's in our studio today.
We're with people.
Yes, we are. Ricky Medlocke, part of the Leonard Skinner band back in the 70s, also was with the band that you got started, the Blackfoot band, thank you, and now is with the Ricky Medlocke band.
I got people now.
I'm so sorry. All wonderful bands. We also have our friend Mark Werpel.
Hi.
Who has co-produced the song.
Yep. Me and Ricky has spent, thousands of hours in studios over the years that we've spent time together. And then a lot of those hours are just amazing hours to be in that environment, in that creating time. So it was when he had called me, it was a couple years ago, and started talking about the idea, going down, and then just all we did was just listen to music in, like you talked about before, a home studio, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to walk by the pool to get to the nice studio over there. And we just sat there, listened to songs, and
Kept coming back to this one.
and this is one of the pile. There's a pile, and that's the thing about musicians. I'm a teacher. I teach recording. I teach songwriting. I encourage the 5-year-olds to start writing songs. And I teach them in a number system. It's just we don't stop writing.
Right,
He's got. We got little bits and pieces. We got. I could show you my phone. I got 600 little titles and little lyric. It's just you sing stuff into the phone from driving. So it never ends. Road hit us pretty strong. When we look at each other and listen to it. Great pile of musicians that are on it. An amazing list of players. Then we end up talking about proceeding with that. When you never know until you get to the end. It's another journey. You never know until you get to the end of the song and what it's going to be like. You don't know.
Because you never run out of the road.
Well, it just leads you. The song will lead you in directions. It's the funniest thing to sit there and go, yeah, what about this sound? What about turning on the bass a little bit on this? All of the hours. We probably got a couple hundred hours into this song. And that's not, it's not even work. It's just what you do and what leads you to that point,
Now,
So the co-producing and the core, me and Ricky can throw off ideas back and forth to each other just because we've done it so much. You meet people that you get along with that way, just like any kind of relationship, and it's we don't even think about it. It's just we don't, it's needing to have more time to do that is really the thing,
And you use some of the original demo. And
Oh, it is. Yeah, definitely. We used Nick is one of the Skinner camp. He's the conga player.
Actually, Nick is Michael Cardillone's drum tech.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's the drummer that Ricky used on it. Then Brian Reidinger from town. He's from In the Groove Music. He's a co-worker of mine also for 30. He's actually 30 years. Ricky's 40. So he plays drums on the end of it, But it's all those little bits and pieces. And then the guys in my band, TPK, Them Pesky Kids, which is the worst band name in the world, but we're stuck with it. But, they came in. There's, it's the band singing on it. I did more guitars, more keyboards on it. It's just the best. My wife has to yell at me to come upstairs because I'll just keep going all the time with that.
I gotta say, there's sections of that. Every little section actually just pops in a different way. It's just like it just reaches into my heart.
Yeah, I appreciate that a lot, and that's what we feel at when we're doing, and that's what we're going for. These kind of songs are some of my favorite. I call this a production song, so it's not just a pop song with the structure that we go in. There's structure there, but we really follow where it leads us.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, the song was 8 minutes long when it came to me.
Really?
So there was and that's part of us. Me and Ricky love long guitar solos and build
it's
ups.
the 70s way.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Play Freebird every night. I know.
right. Yeah, we need another guitar solo here, but So that is big part of the song is the dynamics, the build up.
That you actually are going on a road with the song
end
itself.
keeps
Yeah.
building and building,
Yeah.
and then you come back down to that guitar playing. Coming down to that at the end. It's just and it feels like the words to me. That kind of
Well,
stuff.
what's cool
Yeah,
about it is that
yeah.
you also talk a lot. The song in the lyrics brings up all the directions. The southerly direction, the northerly direction, which also is the heart of Native American. The four
Yep.
directions.
Yep.
I mean, I go back to thinking about being on the road. The first time I ever saw the Northern Lights, I was on the road. And I had never seen the Northern Lights, and I'd always heard how beautiful they were and everything. And I'm thinking, are people tripping when they see these things? I've never,
How great could it be?
I've
right?
never seen it. But one night it happened, and I was just like, wow.
It's stunning, isn't it? You just get transfixed by
It's just
the light show.
it's so spiritual,
That was with Skinner in a bus, right? In Canada or something like that, he said? Was it?
Yeah.
And it's Lakota. I mean, that brings the Lakota way, in Minnesota, and up to the
yeah.
Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
That's in your heart too.
Yeah, I just look, I never presented myself as full Native because I'm not, But the side of me that is, I'm very honored and proud and happy to know, And so, for me personally, and this goes along with everybody, you should be proud of what you are. I mean, whatever you are, don't hide it. I mean, that's what you are. Don't profess to be something else that you're not. And, be proud of where you come from.
It's also important to you to have a sense of meaning with what you do. And
Yes.
so proud that you are giving back with this song.
You know what? Along with Mark, and I know he is the same, but I'm a real musician. That's all I've ever done is play music. My grandfather, Shorty, when I was 3 years old, bought me a miniature banjo. Taught me some songs. This TV show that he was on called The Toby Dowdy Show originated out of Jacksonville and simulcast on CBS all over the South. Huge area, right? And my grandfather went to Toby one day and said, look, I've taught my grandson how to play a couple of songs with me on the banjo. Can I bring him on the show and have him and I do a song together? And Toby was like, well, how old is he? He said, well, he's 3. And he goes, come on. And he goes, no. He says, I'll show you. Let me bring him. So Toby said, all right, I want to see this. So he brought me on the next week, and we did a song together. And cards and letters started coming into the TV station enough to where it warranted me to come back, and I stayed on there for 5 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Pictures are amazing of that. Yeah.
And I've got pictures I will show you before we leave.
I would love to see them.
And so in the midst of that, I took up playing guitar when I was 5, drums when I was 8, and little did I know that both the guitar and the drums would be very beneficial to me later on, because I played drums in my grandfather's band, and then I joined Skinner and I played drums for the first time around. Guitar, I played guitar in teen bands all over Jacksonville, and then the next thing you know, I'm in Blackfoot playing guitar, standing up singing, playing guitar, and then next thing you know, here I am, one of the lead guitar players for Lynyrd Skynyrd, have been for the last 28 and a half years. So here I am. And you know what? I've had an incredible life. I have. And very proud of it.
And what's also exciting is that if you want to come see Ricky Medlock's band, which I'm sure you would love to see, they're going to be March 1st at the Medina Art Center. And it's the doors are open at 7:30. The show starts at 8. And you can get tickets by going to medinaentertainment.com and then you do /Medina-events, and Ricky Medlock's band comes right up. You'll also see that cool picture we were talking about. that picture's on there as well.
Courtesy of Cat Bizanella, yeah.
Right. That's right. Well, we're going to need to take a break, but we'll listen to Never Run Out of Road as our outro, and then we'll be back for just one more segment. I wish we could go on for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
But we have at least one more segment left to talk with both Mark and Ricky.
Very good.
We're moving up, and I never run out of road. I've got good reason.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Lori Fitz, and my co-host Rick Bernardo have had the pleasure and honor to have both Ricky Medlock and Mark Warple join us today to talk about this amazing song, Never Run Out of Road, their amazing band, Ricky Medlock Band, roots in Leonard Skinner, with our friend Ricky Medlock being part of that amazing band, and celebrating both the song being able to also give back to an important cause, supporting missing and murdered Indigenous women. And the portion of the proceeds of the benefit go to the NIWRC, which supports women getting supported during this challenging time. Mm-hmm. Mark, I would love to have you share about how this all kind of came together.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that Ricky actually came to me when we're doing all our conversations and talking ideas and talking about fishing and everything else that we talk about. But actually came to me with this idea. I have a piece of paper at home I'll write down words when someone's talking to me about an idea of what's coming out of the conversation for the song idea. But it was actually, he wanted to do a song written for the MMIW at that time. And then we got into other things. I started working with Scott Harold from Rock the Cause label. I'm actually, like I said, a teacher, so I was aware of Rock the Cause because I used to have to teach a whole bunch of kids Clouds, the song Clouds.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then, worked with Scott Harold. Me and Ricky were starting to talk about the song was coming together. How are we going to put this out? We were talking to our manager, these rock record labels that we've dealt with before, and it just occurred to me. I brought up the idea we can actually tie this in to a charity, and that this would work really well with the MMIW movement. Ricky jumped on it right away. Got a hold of Scott. It happened really fast. I got a hold of Scott, and I said, Scott, what do you think about putting on a Ricky Medlock song? He's like, well, he just went,
I can hear, yes!
Right. So, and then it's been working out really well. Scott Harold's an incredible worker that way. So it's kind of neat how that all came together again, that journey that led us to that point. So, yep.
Well, Scott, are you still with us? He may have bowed out. But,
I am here.
He was
Okay.
nodding his head.
Yeah, okay, great.
I'm here, yeah.
If you want to make mention of the working with this great band and this wonderful song, love to have you share a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody. This is Scott Harold, CEO and founder of Rock the Cause Records. And, Mark and I have been working on a number of projects over the past, year for an artist named Joe Bacalchi. So it was awesome when Mark came to me with this. And, I've always been a fan of Skynyrd. I'm a fan of Blackfoot. I remember, one of the first conversations I had with Ricky was telling him about growing up in Nebraska and being back in the back of a fastback Camaro, flying down a dirt road, listening to, Train. So I've always been a fan. And so when Mark brought this to me and said, do you want to do this? I said, look, absolutely. I want to do this. And, in my work with young people here in the Twin Cities, I come into contact with a lot of young Native American women who I've mentored and worked with and give career development. And, there's, some of them are like my own children. They're like my own daughters. And I was aware of the MMIW movement through them. And it just hit me, something ever happened to TT or happened to Alyssa, it would break my heart.
Yeah.
And so this was a natural fit for what I do, and I couldn't be more proud and honored to be working with this team on this project and to be serving the Native American community.
Well, it's an important cause, and it's wonderful when we can bring music, which brings people together, and causes that can make a difference in the world today. So, with that, with Never Run Out of Road, will you be playing this at the Medina Arts Entertainment Center?
Oh yeah, this will be the first time that we've played it out live. So everybody in Medina, you'll get the opportunity to hear it live for the very first time. I also want to mention on the website, we also have merchandise on there, and these T-shirts on there is really cool looking. On the back of it, it's specifically the red feather, red hand, and like I said, part of those proceeds from the merchandise absolutely goes to the charitable funds.
Well, I want to make sure we get that website out again.
Yep.
It's rickymedlock.com, and that's RICKEYMEDLOCKE.com. You can listen to the song. You can also go to the Medina Center, and that is at...
And I was going to say, on his site is a link to the tickets.
Oh, good.
Right on
Yes.
that
Oh,
homepage.
good.
Yeah.
I just go through there.
March 1, the evening of March 1, you want to look for that date. It's right at the bottom of the homepage.
You can look at Spotify. The concerts come up there.
Yeah.
Just about everywhere. Yeah.
And you've got some other things coming up, don't you, Ricky?
Oh, I got I have a long tour getting ready to jump on after our shows. I got a 3-day break, and then we jump on Skinner Tour. It's us. It's called the Sharp Dressed Simple Man Tour.
Oh, awesome.
So it's us and ZZ Top out on the road, along with a great bunch of friends of mine, Blackstone Cherry. And we're out all through March, all through April. So if you see us coming around anywhere near you, come out and check it out. It's a fun time. But
I also heard that you're going to have some more songs coming out on Rock the Cause.
yes, I really feel driven by doing all this, and my better half, her name is Stacy Michelle, has had a long history in music herself. She has sang with virtually everybody. Joe Walsh for 4 tours, Kid Rock for 16 years. I mean, she's been in music a long time. We got some songs on her we'd like to develop, and she wants to, at some point, will probably come in with us.
Fabulous.
Here in this band, so
Well,
it's all good.
And stay tuned to watch and check out irockthecause.org for the future music coming out. And Mark and Ricky, it's just been wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
We
Thank
hope
you.
that you'll come back, or at least maybe even join us through online, because we'd love to keep track of what you're doing and how you're doing
Sure.
it, and make sure that our Twin Cities et al., with all the folks that listen on the internet, are well aware of all the wonderful work you're doing. So thank you.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Rick.